How are you viewing this move from Durant?
Well, I'm viewing it as the weakest move I've ever seen from a superstar. Plain and simple. That's just how I look at it. It's not that he's leaving Oklahoma City. If you're not happy there and you want to move on and you want to grow as a player, there's nothing wrong with that. He's one of the top 3 players in the world. He's a quintessential superstar. He deserves all the credit in the world.
Stephen A. Smith is one of the most respected and highest paid analysts at ESPN. But even though he doesn't like to admit it, he can be wrong. And he also can be very hypocritical, just like that clip I showed you. He said that Kevin Durant going to Golden State was the weakest move he had ever seen by an NBA superstar. And then comes Kevin Durant's mom, Wanda Durant. And let's see how he switches up.
For you. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Point number 1. When we look at what you just said, did Walt Clyde Frazier say that about LeBron James when he went to Miami? And I don't want to hear any comparisons to that of LeBron James when LeBron James left Cleveland for South Beach.
He also said,
When players talk about him and they use the word the asterisk and all of that stuff, you're implying that the game he displays for you, now it's that way because he's a Golden State.
Literally nobody said that. Everybody knows he's great and that's why they're pissed. He brings up LeBron James going to Miami. And let me show you that first clip again, but a different portion of it. Because Stephen A. Smith himself said why that's a bad comparison.
When LeBron left Cleveland, the cupboard was bare. He was basically the only dude in Cleveland. It was LeBron James and a bunch of no-name.
So Stephen A. makes a bold statement, Wanda Durant checks him on it, and he completely backpedals. He said there is no comparison between KD and LeBron on their decisions, and now he's saying that they're pretty much the same thing. But this is only the beginning, because that took Stephen A. whole season to change his opinion on that. It just took Wanda Durant and a whole year of watching KD ball in Golden State to change his mind. Well, what if he changed his mind overnight? What if this guy says something one day and then the next day says the opposite? Well, he actually did that. Roll the clip.
Heard the news. Talk about the rich getting richer. If ever there was an upgrade, it's JaVale McGee, the Boogie Cousins. Boogie Cousins is on the Golden State Warriors. Even more damn with Boogie Cousins. Why even bother playing next season?
What do you make of Cousins falling to Golden State?
What I make of it is that there's a whole bunch of punks running around the NBA, and they're called NBA fans. I don't know what the hell is wrong with everybody. I really, really don't. Everybody's acting like this is such a big deal. It's really not that big of a deal.
Why even bother playing next season?
It's not even a big deal, guys, but we should just cancel the next season because it's basically already over. But again, no big deal. I get these clips are kind of old and you're probably thinking, well, duh, everybody knows this. Let's do something a little bit more recent. And this one's very controversial, but don't really focus on which side you lie on. Focus more on Stephen A. saying one thing and then completely saying another.
Irving reportedly made the case that resuming the season would be detrimental to the players' work on social justice and police reform.
No reason not to show up to work. The fact that racial oppression has existed, it's going to exist after this summer. So that is not an excuse not to show up to work, to do your job.
Out of the NBA players, can't say enough. This is what it's all about. Sacrifice, because that's what they'll be.
So as you can see here, he completely reverses his opinion. I think it's because when Kyrie was the only target and the only one saying these things, well, him and a couple other guys, Stephen A. said, well, that's an easy target, I'll challenge him. And then once all the NBA teams and players started banding together, Stephen A.'s like, well, I'm not going to turn my whole back on the league because that's what makes my money, and so I'm going to applaud them for making the sacrifice. It's completely hypocritical, and it almost makes him look weak. You know, he always wants to talk about how these players look weak or their stance is wrong and his is right. In a way, you can say that maybe the players opened his eyes a little bit more, but when Kyrie was the only one trying to change your mind, you couldn't be bothered by him. And then when the whole league does it, all of a sudden, you just kind of join them. You know, it just makes him look like he had no leg to stand on anymore, so he ran for cover. And the reason I bring this up is because guys like Charles Barkley or Shaq, when they get challenged on something they say, they're not backing down, they don't care. And Stephen A. just kind of flip-flops on a lot of these things depending on what people are saying about him or what an athlete will say to him or what the athlete's mother will say to him. And I think it's funny because he always wants to call out guys like Max and say, you don't know anything about basketball or you don't know anything about this topic. But the moment the majority comes at him, he follows. And as much as it may sound like it, I'm not hating on him. I think he's entertaining, and I like his basketball takes the majority of the time. But I think it's important to call him out on these things. We don't want these guys to start acting fake and just giving in to whatever crowd they feel that they should give into for money or fame or whatever the reason is. These guys should be authentic. Think about it. Skip Bayless, as irritating as he is and as bad as a lot of his takes are, most of his takes, he's never going to change no matter what people say. They're going to always spam his Twitter. They're always going to show up on YouTube in the comments, but he's not going to change his opinion. And I think it's important for guys in that position that have influence to not just change their opinion, because how boring would it be? How boring would Undisputed be if Skip Bayless just agreed with Shannon Sharpe every time because people were saying he was wrong? There's a lot more clips like this, and there's also some for other analysts as well. But the point here that I'm trying to make is Stephen A said an opinion, got directly challenged, and then completely reversed. There's not too many instances like that. There's always some where it depends on the player. They can be, oh, if LeBron does something, it's wrong, but if Kawhi does something, it's right, or vice versa. But when it came to this, the reason why I wanted to bring these main points up are because, again, he started off by saying something, and then someone called him out on it that has reputation, or just the mob called him out on it, and he just completely backs down. Right or wrong, whatever side he's on, whatever side you're on, we should really acknowledge this and not just give him a pass every time he wants to switch his opinion, because it's really hypocritical, and I don't think a lot of other guys would get away with it like he does in a way. But that is all I have for this video. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. What do you think about Stephen A's hypocrisy and him flipping opinions every now and then? Are you okay with it, or do you think we should call him out on it? And also leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more NBA content just like this, and I will see you in the next upload.